Bill Geyer, please come up.
Come on, Bill.
First, not only is Bill a Riverside graduate, but all of his siblings and his 3 sons also graduated from Riverside. In the late 90s, it was determined that Riverside needed a field house. And so, a group of gentlemen, 6 of them, led by Bill, stepped forward. They mortgaged their homes to provide seed money. They donated in-kind materials and labor, including 20+ trucks of concrete. They sought and received donations from prominent citizens in the school district. They initiated a weekly bingo game at the old Grand River Elementary School and operated that for several years to raise money. And finally, many of the community members became aware of this project, and they too stepped forward to help with donations, both financial and in-kind. In 2000, the field house was opened. They still have little money to raise, and I'm not exactly sure what year you turned it over to the school, but I do know that when they turned it over to the school, it was debt-free. Bill has served on the Alumni Board of Trustees for many years and several terms as president. So tonight, Bill, we are bestowing the title of Trustee Emeritus to you. Frank, you're next. Frank service to the community, Riverside, and other charitable events, it absolutely exceeds the imagination. Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you. I was waiting for the photographer. I guess they weren't there. And I get to take a couple of your minutes since you didn't use them. By the way, did you have the right bio there? Not sure about that. And again, want to thank more than just a little bit of work. Marijane has put a lot of heart and soul into this event, not just this year, but for many, many years. So she always deserves congratulations for this. I want to first thank the committee for choosing me and the Alumni Association for honoring all of the people over the years. I want to thank the ones who conspired to nominate me. I'll get you for this. I'll get to you in a bit. I don't think I did anything to deserve this, but it really does mean a lot. Especially when you think of the 157 members that were inducted before this year. People like popular local politician and Judge Mike Chickanetti, local law enforcement royalty and the Dunlap brothers, and of course Buddy Raditz and Del Bethel with their outstanding charity Sub-Zero mission. I most certainly didn't realize I was living a Hall of Fame life, especially when you consider who I'm going in with tonight as well. Especially when you think of the 10, now 11 other classmates who have already been inducted. People like Dr. Lydia Parker, who makes people feel better about themselves and their physical appearance. Or Shelley Lemon Graff back there, who makes women feel more comfortable after surgery. Or Dan O'Shannon, the 5-time Emmy Award-winning writer, producer, and class clown, who made millions laugh and just for a moment feel better about themselves. By the way, he sent me an email of congratulations a couple of months ago, and he wanted to be here to heckle me. I most certainly didn't realize I was living a Hall of Fame life, even especially when you think of the other person in my family to have already been inducted. My brother Mike was the school district treasurer for more than a decade and the voice of the Riverside Regiment for even longer. He was also responsible for forming the RHS Alumni Band. By the way, we had 125 members, alumni members last week. That was great. I'm now among CEOs, doctors, lawyers, county sheriffs, judges, and even airline pilots. Hell, I'm in public relations and marketing. Two of the useless professions dispatched on Golga Frenchen Earthship B. And if you get that reference, I want to know where your towel is after this event. But then Lori Sanders Sterling, a dear friend of since kindergarten, had me answer some questions as she prepared the nomination, even after I told her I wasn't worthy. And I had to look deeper into it, not being about what I do or have done, but who I am, and not about one thing, but a body of work, for lack of a better term. So I got thinking about it. And that body of work included a lot of supportive people around me. Of course, started with my parents and lives on in their memories. In fact, would have been my dad's 89th birthday today. It was through interactions I still have with my siblings to this day. It was through my grade 1 through 6 experience at St. Mary's, and most certainly the years I spent in Pack and Troop 64, culminating in an Eagle Scout rank in 1978. But the life lessons over the 6 years at John R. Williams and the Riverside buildings were even more character building from people like Gretchen Reed over there, who piqued my interest in journalism, 2 jobs I had over my sordid radio career. Sorry I never got in a plane with you, but I understand you have influenced a lot of people to fly. Then there's Kathy Riley over here, who was known for her discipline that shaped young women into what we knew at the time as the Beaverettes. She also tended to use preemptive discipline too, as she took that to a new level. After seeing the 2 of us in action over the course of a couple of marching band seasons, she made sure that Ted Dalheim and I had seats front and center in her class when we took her in algebra. We walked in that first day and she pointed to the 2 front seats and said, "You 2, sit here so I can keep an eye on you." In 8th grade, there was Mary Porter, or Washlegger, you might have known her as either one, who noticed the knack I had for doing certain things that would look good and be entertaining on stage, but really changed my life's interest when we produced the 2 silent movies in 9th grade. I was fascinated with the process, and I still do video production to this day. Then there was Bob Capella, his daughter sitting back there, who handled all the bands with class and dignity. It was known he wasn't the biggest fan of the marching band, so he always farmed out the planning and design of the final halftime each season to a couple of seniors. We rewarded him our year with the 7 senior and trombone and trumpet players performing a Suicide Squad with fire blazing from the end of our horns. Performed to the theme 2001: A Space Odyssey, not once, but twice. And the halftime at Conneaut is a story for another time. A photo of that does live on in a memory in our yearbook. We still see to this day how important the band program was and is to people, which is why my siblings and I award an annual scholarship to a graduating member of the regiment each year. Each year in those applications, we see examples of how the band has turned these young people around. Most go from being shy and timid, then coming out being leaders of their respective sections. The transformation is heartwarming. Now, I don't tell you that to look for applause. I tell you that because that's how much this school, and specifically the marching band, meant and means to my family. And finally, you can't have one of these without a quick story about David Shaner. If you had Mr. Shaner, I hear all the groans. If you had Mr. Shaner, you know that he did, no matter what class you had, he gave out 10 spelling words every day. During the strike of 1978, I knew that he was crossing the picket line, and I said, I have to be in his class. I cannot fall behind in his class. So I crossed the picket line on that very first day. I'm sitting in class, I'm the only one there. And if you know Mr. Shaner, you know how scary that is. Late bell rings, door closes, and the first thing he says is number 1, which means he's getting ready to read the 10 spelling words for the day. I'm struggling to get my book open and that special pen we had to have for his class, and he read through the 10, And what he would do is, he would say number, after he got done with the 10, he'd say number 1, and he would say somebody's name, and he always used the last name. So that day it was number 1, Vaccariello. Okay, sure, so I spelled the first one. He did that 3 times before he finally looked at his shoes, shrugged, and he says, just please continue to spell the rest of the words. So when everybody came back, he started the class all over again. So I didn't miss anything. Started it from the first day of the strike. However, he would send me on errands to the office to pick up his mail. I think I was one of Shaner's unintentional teacher's pets. Not sure I wanted that reputation. Unfortunately, that famous mini-stage classroom has now been turned into a science lab. No more Shaner's little room. I still don't know, whether you say so or not, what exactly led the committee to choose me for induction. But I do want to say thank you to the gang who conspired to nominate me, including several people sitting over there. Also my best friend, Lori from Texas, who couldn't be here this weekend. Especially people like Ellen, who made sure the call went out to make sure we had people there. And thank you very much for the car tonight. That was a nice little touch. I appreciated that. My girlfriend Karen for her support during that process, and my daughter Sophia, who still has no idea what I'm talking about. Last but not least, I'm proud to come from the class with the most representatives in the Alumni Association Hall of Fame. Class of 1980, hooty-hoo!
And also someone who has made history, Jen Yorko, the first general manager of a professional baseball team.
Hello and good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for this incredible honor for being inducted tonight. A special thank you to Bart for her patience in my delayed responses and answering very late at night. Appreciate you, Bart. Standing here tonight being inducted into the Riverside Hall of Fame is truly an honor. Riverside wasn't just the place I went to school. It was where I learned what it meant to be a part of something bigger than myself. Whether it was serving on student council, joining Key Club, writing for the log, or stepping out onto the tennis court or softball field, each of those experiences taught me lessons that would stay with me long after graduation. As I think about my career now as the general manager of the Lake County Captains, I see so many parallels between my time at Riverside and the work I get to do every day. In student council, we learn how to collaborate, how to listen, how to lead with purpose, the same skills I rely on to manage a team, organize events, and bring people together at the ballpark. In Key Club, we were taught that service is at the heart of leadership. The same spirit continues to drive me today through partnerships with the Miracle League and United Way. When I think back to my days playing tennis and softball, I remember the discipline, the teamwork, and the determination it took to compete and to grow. Those lessons never leave you. They're the same qualities I see every day in our players, in my staff, and in the young athletes that I now have the joy of coaching in softball. Looking back, Riverside wasn't just preparing me for a career. It was shaping my character, teaching me resilience, teamwork, and the value of giving back. It was where I learned that success isn't measured by titles or wins, but by impact. To my family, my friends, my mentors, and everyone who has been a part of Riverside and my Lake County journey, thank you for believing in me, encouraging me, cheering me on. The honor isn't just mine. It belongs to every person who helped me become the person I am today. Thanks again for this honor.
Brown. We have now moved to the athletic division of the Hall of Fame. I did some research and I'm pretty sure that I am correct in that Aaron Brown is Andrew Brown is the only Riverside student to ever make it to the majors in baseball.
All right, well, after that, I hope I don't disappoint in this speech. Honestly, this is just very surreal. Standing here tonight, being inducted to Riverside's Hall of Fame, it feels both humbling and a little unbelievable. When I first became a student here, I never imagined I'd be back for something like this. My experience at Riverside helped me achieve my goal that I had set out to achieve when I was just a kid. Earning a scholarship to play baseball at the University of Akron, and then receiving the phone call that would change my life forever, that I had been drafted by the Colorado Rockies. And it all started here. So first and foremost, there are some incredible people that I want to thank, and that I need to thank. Without them, there's no chance that I would have accomplished what I did. First, my mother and my father. You are the reason I ever had a shot at success. You taught me what hard work looks like, what integrity means, and how to keep going even when things got tough. Every practice, every game, every weekend away, every week away, every small win you were there, coaching, cheering, very loud, pushing and believing in me long before I ever believed in myself. This moment belongs as much to you as it does to me. To my brother CJ, who cannot be here tonight and live in Boston, you were my first friend, my first competition, stiffest competition, and my biggest supporter. Whether we were playing home run derby in the backyard, losing hundreds of tennis balls in our woods, or cheering each other on, you pushed me to be better without even realizing it. You've always been in my corner, and I'm so grateful for that. To my friends that supported me from day one, I still do. TJ Knopf, who is here tonight, thank you for being the best friend I could have ever asked for. While your knees couldn't necessarily keep up, you have always been there to support me, and I appreciate you being here today. To my teachers, coaches, and the athletic department who shaped me during my time here, thank you. You challenged me, inspired me, and gave me a foundation that guides me today. This honor isn't just about what I did back then, it's about the people who lifted me up and the lessons I learned along the way. I'm proud to represent what Riverside stands for. Thank you again for this incredible honor.
Next is Bettina, Han-Lawson. Bettina is the fastest swimmer in the area. She set a record that still stands for 17 years and is still going. Bettina, woo!
Good evening, everybody. Wow, this is such an incredible honor. I want to thank the Riverside Alumni Association for this recognition, friends and family, many of whom traveled to be here, my beautiful partner, Kelsey, the hotel staff for serving us a wonderful dinner, my fellow inductees, and of course, Marijane, who organized this evening. I'm humbled to share this evening with you all tonight. I was really struggling with figuring out where I wanted to go with this speech, but my hope for tonight is to convey just how precious my time swimming as a Riverside Beaver was. My sisters, who were and still are 4 and 5 years older than me, were swimmers, and well, it just made sense to throw me in the pool too. That marked the start of my swimming career. At the age of 4, we trained with the Lake Erie Silver Dolphins, or LESD, one of the most prestigious swim clubs in the country. At the time, they were best known for distance swimming, having recently produced a gold medalist at the Athens Olympics, as well as an international open water champion. In my sport, much like many others where you train at a high intensity at a young age, you would get pigeonholed into your specialty events well before high school. Now, I was no Olympian, but I aspired to train like one. By the time I got my driver's license, I would wake up at 4:45 a.m. 3 times a week to squeeze in a swim practice before school. I averaged between 15 and 17 hours of high-intensity training a week during those years in high school. I was hardworking and quiet, so my coaches pushed me to compete in distance events. Eager to please, I did as they wished. Thus began my tenure as a distance swimmer. But the truth is, I didn't love that. Let's just say distance races were easily the least sexy. You see, during swim meets, there would often be a mass exodus from the pool deck when it was time for me to compete. It was an unspoken norm that the longer the events were, or that the longer events were an opportunity to go get a snack or even leave the swim meet altogether. These races required counters, who were folks who would stick signs in the pool to help swimmers remember how many lengths they swam. It wasn't uncommon for me to have to beg my peers to stick around and count my races for me. Not to mention, distance swimmers weren't your go-to for relay races, which easily were the most exciting of all swimming events. We were trained for endurance, not speed. I didn't have the language, let alone the self-awareness, to realize this at the time, but my high school years competing for LESD were when I began to develop a pretty serious case of competitive anxiety that would worsen over the course of my swimming career. I would stand behind the block before important races telling myself, you've got this, you've trained for this, you know exactly the strategy you're going to use for this race. But not long into these races, while I was in the water alone with my thoughts, for sometimes as long as 18 minutes uninterrupted, my mind was flooded with negative, intrusive thoughts about myself and my abilities. I think about how desperately I want the race to be over with. I can recall races where I'd look at my LESD coaches at the side of the pool, in the middle of races when I breathe and think about how disappointed they must be in me. This may be surprising to hear, but thinking in this way while competing is unhelpful. It got to the point where I found myself losing races before they were over. In college, I started to dread races before they began. I would go on to swim for 4 more years at Kenyon College and athletically plateau after my freshman year. Any joy I had in competition effectively ended after high school. For 3 years, I trained my body up to 20 hours a week, never realizing my mind was the actual thing holding me back. But Riverside swimming was different. Before I became a beaker, my sisters were trailblazers for the Riverside swimming program. My sister, Vaccariello, who's here tonight, was inducted in the Riverside Hall of Fame in 2023. She was the first swimmer in our school's history to qualify for states. I strive to follow in their footsteps to create a legacy worth leaving behind, but most of all, I took tremendous pride in contributing to our team's successes. I loved anchoring our relays. We could be a body length behind, and I would get butterflies in my stomach waiting behind the block, thinking about how thrilling it would be to catch up and sneak in a win. Part of me thinks I was meant for team sports, but unfortunately, any athleticism I had was strictly aquatic. Riverside was a place where I could safely take risks and do events that typically would be irrational for me to compete in elsewhere. Best of all, I could live out my fantasy of being a sprinter. This led me to claiming the 50 freestyle record, which I finally broke my senior year. But records are meant to be broken. And like the 50 free records, every other record I had, including my strongest distance events, they had since fallen to a very talented swimmer, Jody Turk, who joined the team after I graduated. But somehow, some way, that 50 freestyle record still stands, which genuinely is mind-boggling to me. But I think it's also a reflection of how impactful it can be to give young people the opportunity to enjoy their sport. So, oh geez. I credit that record to my coach, Jeff Brands, who be curious, adventurous, and frankly just have fun with my sport when I was wrestling with intense pressure to perform. I'm so deeply grateful for the space he created and for me to be a child when outside the pool I maybe had to grow up in ways I wasn't yet prepared for. And I am grateful to my mother, who sacrificed tremendously for my swim career, which opened so many doors for me personally and professionally for the rest of my life. And with that, just a blunt thank you again for this incredible honor. I'm sorry I went over time. I didn't rehearse this.
I didn't get my cane yet.
Thank you so much.
And finally, I would like you to meet Bryan Schwanke, who was an outstanding athlete in 3 sports. He was a MVP and conference winner in both football and basketball, and went on to help the track team compete at the state level. Bryan? And he came the longest way. He came from the Boston area.
Thank you. It's so nice to see MJ after all these years. She was very, very good to the Schwanke boys. And I do remember when I first met her, I got kicked out of Mr. Shaner's class. And I went down to see Mrs. Watkins, and she said, turn around and go right back up there. And apologize, which I did. And I have to say, Mr. Shaner turned out to be one of my favorite teachers. He was really, really good. So I also want to thank the committee for this honor. I'm not sure I deserve it. Frank, you deserve it. Definitely deserve it. But I'll take it. It's nice to have my name alongside all those other really great Riverside athletes. Could put my glasses on here. So I first want to thank my dad for making 2 really, really big decisions. The first was marrying our mom, my 2 brothers on the back, David and Todd. Smart decision by him. Our mom was amazing. Just at every single game, raising 4 boys in Northeast Ohio was not easy, and we didn't make it easy on her, believe me. And she was great. And then the second big decision was, we were living in Painesville Harvey School District, and he moved us, we were in Marshall Drive, and he moved us to Concord Township on Timberlane Drive. So it was a great street to grow up on, you know, a lot of kids on the street, and we played sports all summer long, and you know, we had a creek running through the front yards. We were catching frogs and snakes and turtles, and it was just a great street to grow up on. So thanks to my dad for those two things. I'm just going to talk briefly about each of my sports. Yeah, the track and field, I only ran my senior year. I did make the finals of the 100-yard dash and the conference final, the conference track meet. I did finish last, but I got 1 point for the team, as it's written in that program. And then our 440 relay team did win the conference, and we went to sectionals after that, and that was with Alonzo, Lyons, Jordan Smith, and Kevin Harrington. So that was a lot of fun. I just ran my senior year, and you know, sort of a fun fact, right? So after we won the conference title, then we went to sectionals, and it just happened to be on the same day that my brother David was marrying Tara. So which do you think I went to? I didn't go to the wedding. I had to support my team, the relay team, so I missed the wedding. Sorry, guys. And then football, right? So my sophomore year, I competed to start. I got beat out by a senior. This was under Coach Ron Schaefer. I thought it was close. You know, I went to the scout team. I made MVP of the scout team. So then my junior year, I'm getting ready to start. And this is 1 week before the first game. We played Friday night under the lights. I was the starting quarterback. It was an inter squad. So I go back to pass. I got hit late from behind, and I fell, and I knew something was wrong, you know, and I wanted to play so bad. I got up, I took another snap from the center, handed the ball off, took a second snap, couldn't hand the ball off, and I broke my collarbone. So I missed like 5 games, and then when I was ready to come back, the teachers went on strike. So that whole season was wiped out. I do believe if I played my junior year, I would have played football in college, for sure. Because my senior year, you know, it's a lot to get used to. You know, Friday night under the lights, everyone's there, the game is fast. So it took me a couple of games to get used to it. Then after that, I did pretty well. I got MVP and conference, and playing quarterback for Riverside was the best, I gotta tell you. I absolutely loved it. So moving on to basketball. I have another fun fact for you. So when I got hit late, when I was throwing that pass as a junior, the guy that hit me late lived on my street, John Von Hoff, who ended up posing in Playgirl. Fun fact, it's true. True story. So then I get to basketball, right? So sophomore year, you know, I didn't make varsity, I made JV, but a couple games in, I'm in the hallway, and the most popular girl in all the senior class, Tara Sapko, right back there, married to my brother now, she stops me in the hallway and tells me I made varsity. So I go to tell my friends, and my friends were like, Tara, talk to you? Are we invited to the senior parties now? So they were more excited about that than they were about me making varsity. So I played varsity my sophomore year, then I played junior and started junior and senior years. Was MVP. I was runner-up in the league for MVP. There was a guy from Edgewood that won. But I also played. We made the tournament twice, and both times we played Cleveland St. Joe's. And Cleveland St. Joe's got a guy by the name of Clark Kellogg. I played against him. I dropped 17 on him. He dropped 33 on me. That claim to fame. So then after high school, I did go play at a Division III school up in the Boston area. And I made the Hall of Fame there. I scored 1,700 points and did pretty well. And then on a personal note, had a good career in HR. Was head of HR for Bertucci's, which had, well, you guys probably don't know, there's no Bertucci's around here, but had 4,500 employees. So I was head of HR and training for them. And then was also on the board of directors for the Mass Restaurant Association for several years. And then we're married, 6 kids, 8 grandchildren, all live within 40 minutes of me, truly blessed. And then we have a 10-year-old that I'm so dry. My brothers had me out too late last night. So my wife and I, we fostered for 10 years. And we got Damien as a 7-month-old. And then 4 years later, we adopted him. So, you know, doing the foster care was very, very rewarding. So I just want to wrap up and say congrats to all the other inductees. I want to thank my teammates, and I want to thank my brothers for always pushing me. Have a good night.
Bryan.
Where would this event be if there weren't some mix-ups? I thank you all for attending and to honor this wonderful group of people. The bar will be open if you wish to continue to socialize. If you're a Riverside grad and you haven't already done so, I encourage you to join the association The life membership is only $25, or you could get yourself inducted into the Hall of Fame and get it for free. We will close with the traditional singing of the alma mater. If you would all rise. Words are on the back. Oh.